Nigerians, welcome, 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 and thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Updates with Precious. Another beautiful day to bring on an update of the things that happen for inside Nigeria. So, I'll be live twice this evening, no matter how late it is. But let's just do a quick one with Dr. Kach and Anuju because he get very limited time with us. So, I would like me to just rush him with him very quickly, and then after we finish with him, then we'll not sit down on our round table and round table our talk the way we used to talk because there are lots of things I'd like you guys to know, but unfortunately, I can't exhaust all of them with the limited time that we have with Dr. Catch. So, welcome to the show. So, make I start very, very quickly with some things with the boil people mind. As we hear this, as American Mike Arnold don't reveal, say, Remi Tinubu, that she was denied a speaking slot in the International Religious Freedom IRF Summit for denying Christian persecution and killings in Nigeria. Now, in a satirical cartoon where BC is share, it depicts Tinubu's shock at being refused, or Mrs. Tinubu's shock at being refused a platform, highlighting concerns from summit organizers over the spread of deliberate misinformation about Christian genocide. Now, a lot of Wahala don't be aside, in that direction because some people they talk saying a lie, say we no get Christian genocide in Nigeria, meaning that we do not have an attack targeted on Christians, but we have an attack targeted on Nigerians, be them Christians, Muslims, or even traditionalists. They are all targeted. But people they talk. So if you look at the statistics, which religion they more targeted? Which religion will be say their clerics or their heads they more affected? Which religion will they go church treat them in numbers more than the other? Which religion will get people more for inside IDP camps? So it's easy for you to tell. And which religion will be say, or which religion will be saying that people will they concentrated on that religion 9 day for the communities will be say don't they among the communities, most of the communities will be say don't they displaced today. Now, which religion be the people of those places? So that from the yardstick people they talk say Christian genocide they talk come from. But other people say no. It's just it's just they unlucky say the statistics of Christians they much, but indeed the attack everywhere for Nigeria. But make I just run through short headlines what we could do now. Treat because of our conversation with Dr. Catch, and I will bring on a full headlines, over 30 stories in the next 3 hours, 2 hours when we go on air. Now, Fulani chiefs funded the water attack. This is according to witness. The witness say Fulani chiefs, saying that them fund the attack, then get meeting talk about to attack your water and kill those over 300 people we say they kill. Now, renewed bandit attacks force fresh exodus in Bauchi communities. What do we have here now? Terrorist attack on Nigerian Benin and Niger Republic border. It don't increase by 262%. That now waiting people they talk. And then international religious freedom rejects Remi Tinubu's speaking slot at summit for deliberate misinformation and denial of Christian genocide in Nigeria. This according to Mike Arnold as in Ravenna. Nigerian Christians supporting removal of Sharia law must know they are inviting problem, and Nigeria will separate. Islamic Cleric. Now they talk this one. And as a matter of fact, your water attack assailants are Fulani held meeting before killing over 200 residents in Benue, witness tells court. Oh, by the way, the Christian missionary for inside Benue State will be the construct building. Don't get a buzz blues with the Benue State governor where they talk, say, why did they deny saying no build house? Say they deny saying no build house, saying no even saying attached houses didn't build for them. Meanwhile, normal houses not built for them. That's that drama. Does they expose the corruption of the Benue State government of not of topics that it Benue State government chop the money where they give them to use alleviate the pain of the people where your water attack affect. Rather, did they go build, a settlement for a rehabilitation center for bandits or terrorists, as it were. But let's quickly look at touch on other conversations still around insecurity very quickly. As Kwara communities abandon night congregational Ramadan prayers over fear of terror attacks. So because of somebody not affect them, they don't wash their hand, come up for anything we get to do with night prayer for this Ramadan, like Pontius Pilate, because they no one here say attack don't reach their domot. As it be say these attackers then they just worry them for Kwara State well. Now crisis rocks. Okay, let's see very quickly. What do I now? Muslims Council. I've been telling you say Murico and Supreme Islamic Council condemn within US talk about Sharia and all that for Nigeria. Well, Muslim Council youths don't demand public apology from Nasarawa's Doma Council chairman over alleged blasphemy. That one another matter entirely. Say why you blaspheme us against our religion. We will also look into that conversation very, very quickly. And then terrorists attack mosque in Kebbi community, kill 4 worshippers, injure several others. So all of these and more matters now will be the touchlights this evening as Dr. Catch and Julie join us inside the studio. Good evening, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us and welcome to the show. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. Good
We
evening.
don't they get that cracking again. Oh, that cracking. Your voice is not good anymore. I don't know what happened.
Really? Well, it's the network issue.
The voice is
The
bad.
static,
The sound is bad from your end, sir.
the static.
The, Unfortunately, the sound is very, very bad
Why
from your
that
end. So maybe you try to rejoin us again. The sound is really very bad from your end, and we're unable to hear what
happens?
you're saying. It just keeps breaking or cracking. It's not clear. Sincere apologies. All right, Nigerians. Hello, sir.
It's
Can you
still
hear
crack.
us?
Let me do. Let me do.
It's still it's still cracking, sir. No, no, no. It's still cracking, sir. Unfortunately, this is so unfortunate. I was hoping this doesn't happen at all, at all. Oh my goodness, this is not fair at all. We're just going to dive into the conversation very quickly so that we can touch down at 10 o'clock and then get going with other stuff that we have. But we hope that he would get back to us because we try to settle this off the microphone to make sure that, off the camera rather, to make sure that we can settle the issue very quickly. But then we'll get back to it very, very quickly. So I did tell you what Mike Arnold said based on listening to BC into it when he talked, say, Mrs. Remi Tinubu was denied engagement from asked to speak, okay, from speaking for inside a gathering because of, say, the talk, say she will come twist the narrative concerning Christian genocide for inside Nigeria. Now, let me quickly touch on that conversation. As social media commentator and former um, chairman or local government chairman, as they call him, for inside Nigeria, Mike Arnold, don't reveal that Remi Tinubu was denied a speaking slot at the International Religious Freedom IRF Summit for denying Christian persecution and killing of Christians. Let's see if Dr. Kaj, if the audio has been fixed. Hello, sir. Can you try to speak to us? Let's sustain your audio.
Can you hear me? I can also hear the static sound.
Oh, it's not good still. I don't know what's happening. It's still not good, sir. Your audio is still not good at all. Your audio is still not good. It's your audio is bad, so it's switching. You don't did good at all, sir. Okay, sir. Let's see. Hope that he can rejoin us. So speaking on the conversation very quickly, in a satirical cartoon shared on his X handle that depicts, Arnold depicted a president's wife has shocked at being refused a platform, highlighting concerns from summit organizers over the spread of deliberate misinformation. In column, deliberate misinformation. That means she did deliberately lie to people. She deliberately lied to people. And that's not all what he said in recent times. So because if you like say the man just did after matter we get to do with Nigeria matter very, very well. I will try to get some other of those things and maybe say don't talk, make a quickly touch on and make on a say. I was trying to also get a copy of that cartoon. So say apologies, please just bear with me. I'll get that across to you as soon as possible while I try to contact Dr. Catch. Now, the decision, according to him, the decision reportedly follows an 8 February 2026 disclosure by US broadcaster Tony Perkins, who rejected Tinubu's request, that is Mrs. Tinubu's request, to appear on his show. Now, if you do recall, you remember that we had discussed that sometime in February. No, yeah, early February. Was it early February? Yeah, or that the president's wife was denied um, access to some international media organizations. In fact, this particular media person talks say him deliberately no let her come in platform because say she could use in platform come push the propaganda against Christians genocide. And no, a lot of us did not think that it was that deep or perhaps it was that serious. But unknown to us, and something we say they don't take much more serious, as some people for inside the world or international organizations don't try to push the matter beyond that level to show their pain and anger on waiting them feel, say, be deliberate attempts by the president of Nigeria and his wife to push a narrative against the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. And then Mike Arnold has always been at the forefront of, pushing all this matter as it get to do with waiting Christians they go through for Nigeria. In fact, if I say the same way you know like Christian and a mockery, now so like anything we get to do with any other person. So he's just been strongly opposing any view of anything we person talk we get to do with the facts say Christian genocide no in Nigeria, or to play down on what they call Christian genocide in Nigeria. And in several tweets, he's also made that known. In fact, the other day he shared a letter from the Muslim Islamic, I think it's Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria, where they did say something. Let me see if I can get a copy of that and also share it to you very quickly, so you'd have an idea. That's letter it's about. The internet is really very slow and taking so much time to load some of my stuffs. But let's just move on very quickly. So he says, I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist, or anything in between. I believe every civilized human being can look at this and see what a danger and disgrace this is. That is pointing at the letter where we say the Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria, right? And then he said, this is the attitude and ideology that is destroying Nigeria and threatens the peace of the entire world. All who are civilized should stand against this. He posted this word day again just yesterday. Now he said he won't. He said if we don't join together as people, as in talk of conscience, to end this madness, indeed it will result in more serious consequences for everyone. So he did say, I don't know what's wrong with my internet for crying out loud. These stuffs are not loading. I'm trying to ensure that I get this, posted to you as fast as I can. It's just taking almost forever to happen. Sincere apologies. So now let's go quickly straight to the letter in the try talk about. Now here is the letter he was talking about, written by Nigerian Muslim Council or Nigerian Muslim youths, as it were, generally. This is the content of the letter. While we try to have Dr. Haj rejoin us. Let's see if I have that letter. Okay. Yeah. Oh dear, what is going on here? Okay, no, that's not it. Okay, let me try and get that letter very quickly. Sincere apologies, please. Okay, so that's the letter. That's the letter. I hope it loads. Yeah, thank God it's. So that's the letter. And that letter reads, Press statement. The attention of the Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria has been drawn to concerns raised by critical stakeholders in Doma. Look, I'm coming. I'll get straight to that. Let's just go straight back to Dr. Kaj and see if his audio is better. Dr. Kaj says, sincere apologies. Can you hear me now? Can you try to speak?
Yes, the audio is better now.
Fantastic. Your audio is better.
Uh,
Your audio is better now. Sincere apologies.
I understand.
Sorry, I'm not saying a network wahala, no vex, sir.
Mm.
No vex, sir. All right, so make I quickly take your thoughts on what we will talk about concerning waiting our first lady. Say our first lady the talk say Christian genocide no in Nigeria. And I mean you have some Muslim I said Muslim, some Americans taking it up, like Mike Arnold taking it up and blasting our first lady that she was even denied a speech. She was denied to speak in a particular conference because that they were afraid or they were worried that she would come and spin the narrative in his words, spin the narrative about Christian genocide in Nigeria. And then he made this cartoon. Make I show you. You see the way they disrespect our first lady. And they always report these people to you. It's not good though. See now. He now did this cartoon. See the cartoon. Say IRF Summit Shocker. International Religious Freedom Summit. You don't see him.
Yes.
Request. Speaking Sport IRF Summit. International Religious Freedom Summit. We won't give her a platform to lie and spin. She asked for a speaking spot at the IRF summit, and they said no because they didn't want to give her a platform to lie and spin. Hell, sir, what does this mean? A whole our first lady, and they tell this kind of thing.
It means that the world knows that the First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Tinubu, is amongst the people working on denial. Don't forget, this denial has been there for long, but she probably doesn't understand how what is currently affecting Nigeria works. She doesn't understand it. The problem we have is the Americans are here, so she thinks. But the Americans didn't just come here. The world tracked what was going on in Nigeria, and after years of intelligence gathering, the world now announced what everybody in Nigeria who had been following the events knew. The idea of the Nigerian politicians, including the presidency and the Fulani uh, people who were being accused of doing these things, the fact that they now embrace denial is nothing new. It's the same thing that the First Lady is doing. So I don't really see anything. The world knows that they are moving around the world trying to deny what's going on in Nigeria. But then, against what they're doing are mountains of evidence collected through years of data acquisition. So I think she is reacting rather late, and that's the issue about Nigeria. Most people in Nigeria behave as if Nigeria is not part of the world. They don't understand that whatever they do here, the international community will understand it. And I think this is the first confrontation such people who thought Nigeria was not part of the world and now the world watches to observe what's going on in Nigeria. That's why when the United States announced it could intervene, the government
Your voice, your output is bad again, sir. Your output is bad again. I don't know why, but let's see if it gets different. I don't know if there's an interruption with your network, and that's why it's bad again. But just try to speak. Let's hear if it will change. We can't hear you. We can't even hear you anymore. Did you try to get a call? Did you try to get a call, sir?
no, nobody tried to call me. It's just it's clear now.
I,
It's
I,
just
I it's not better. It's not better. Ah, oh no. It's so tiring to deal with this issue every time.
what
It's so bad. It's so bad we can barely hear anything you're saying, sir. It's so bad. I don't know what happened, but this is really very bad. All right, so very quickly, let me quickly touch on some of the things that my canal said, and then we go to the main topic that we have today. Unfortunately, we have a lot to talk about today, but time not there for us to look at all of those things with Dr. Kaj. So we will just focus on the ones we will know saying we won't respond to, and then we'll move to other issues. Now, my canal also said quite a couple of other stuffs, which I would try to screenshot and show you, but let me quickly take them bit by bit. Now, he also said other stuffs, like he said that, okay, about the Doma youths, because that's what I'm waiting to be say, um, 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 northern youths or northern Muslim youths don't come make strong statements against. Let's quickly read up that there later because it's very important that we speak on the perspective. You know, this is not my device, so it's Dr. Catches. It's not mine. You know, sometimes the network, I can only guarantee my network, but when guest joins, you know the fit tell because Nigeria now want a very nice place. I don't want to say terrible place with issues like this. Now let's address this letter from Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria. Now the press statement states that the attention of the Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria has been drawn to concerns raised by critical stakeholders in Doma local government area. Doma is in Benue State, I want to believe, regarding the utterances made by the executive chairman, Dr. Jonathan Adra Kuba, during a recent political gathering. Now, the statement credited to him suggesting that even if the prophet is here, he is the leader, is highly condemnable and considered a clear act of blasphemy against our noble prophet Muhammad. So he said. Also, the letter reads. Now, following a thorough investigation, we have confirmed that the chairman has since retracted the statement and offered an apology um, during the same event. Now, while we acknowledge this step, we believe that further action is necessary in the interest of peace, mutual respect, and religious harmony. Then they said a leadership of the Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria hereby call on the executive governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, Commissioner of Police, Nasarawa State, and relevant security agencies to take note of this development in order to maintain peace and restore understanding among all religious communities. We urge the chairman, Mr. Jonathan Adra Ukuba, to tender a public apology to Muslim community Oman within 48 hours, published in 5 national daily newspapers. Failure to comply with this request may result in more serious consequences. We appreciate the cooperation of all parties in ensuring sustained peace and respect among our diverse communities. So, wetin cause this wahala? A local government chairman dey talk, and then now goes ahead to say that, I mean, as I dey like this, na me be the chairman. Even if Prophet Muhammad dey here, he know say na me be the dey here, na me be the chairman of the local government. And this costs this opera. Now, here is what my Arnold had to say about it, because to him, he feels that this shouldn't be such a big deal that would cause this kind of opera or this kind of statement from the Muslim community. People they talk, they use Jesus Christ, give example. Say till Jesus. In fact, we cannot talk how many times say till heaven no go fall, Jesus no go come, and nothing will happen. So does it mean that when you have people say Jesus no go come or heaven or anything like that, it means that you have blasphemed against our own religion? That's exactly the angle that my Arnold is taking it from. So he said, I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist, or anything in between. I believe every civilized human being can look at this and see what a danger and disgrace it is. This is the attitude and ideology that is destroying Nigeria and threatens the peace of the entire world. All who are civilized should stand against it. If we don't join together as people of conscience to end the madness, indeed, it will result to more serious consequences for everyone. So he said. Okay, make I quickly go take Dr. Catch again. I hope he's joined us back. Dr. Catch, can you hear me now, please?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Fantastic. It is good. So let's just face the conversation very quickly. Now, a couple of things has happened. With waiting our first lady talk, it don't raise a lot of concerns, and because the talk said they deny her a public outing, speaking engagement, because the international community does not want her to use it to spin the narrative against Christian genocide for inside Nigeria. But moving on very quickly, a local government chairman for Doma, local government, Doma is in Benue State, right? I don't know if it's Benue or Nasarawa State, Doma. Now, the local government chairman of the state was giving a speech, and in that speech, he was heard saying that for now, something like saying he be the local government chairman, that even if Muhammad they here now, saying he used to be the local government chairman. And then the Muslim Youth Council of Nigeria got very upset and says that he has blasphemed against Prophet Muhammad, and they are calling for not his head, but that he should make it. That in fact, he already apologized and retracted his statement that he's sorry for that. But they said that's not enough. That he must make public apology on newspapers and other public platforms to apologize on that statement. But Mike Arnold, the American, has quickly put up the statement, and this is exactly what I was taking before you came in. And he said that I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist, or anything in between. I believe every civilized human being can look at this. That is a statement by the Muslim Youth Council, and the danger and disgrace it is. That this attitude and ideology that is what is destroying Nigeria and threatens the peace of the entire world. All over civilized, every civilized person should condemn this. Now, the Muslims who are doing this are protecting their religion. Why would you say something against Prophet Muhammad? And the Americans feel that people make statements. So because people make statements, their heads should go for it. I mean, he did not insult Prophet Muhammad. He said that even if Muhammad be here, maybe the local government chairman. That's what he said. Should he call for this kind of opera? So Mike feels that it is too much. I mean, it's a bit too much of intolerance. So people cannot cite examples or say things because of how we all respect our religion. While others say that no, you should give people the right to respect their religion and think about their religion the way they want to think about it. It doesn't matter. But I think Mike is looking at this from the angle of intolerance. What's your reaction to this before we move to the other conversation very quickly, sir?
Is the issue of intolerance. Muslims are known to call Jesus in their speeches. Nobody starts to rake and try to bring down the sky. I think it's a case of intolerance taken too far. What I think we should learn to do is to stop reacting to such people, ignore them, because the more you react to them, the more you give energy and oxygen to that fire that they seek to start. These kind of things are all over the place. And that's what the American positions are trying to put a spotlight on. This kind of society where you stay with people, anything you do, they will tell you blasphemy. You see another one, they will say another thing. It's not very good for the country.
In
I
fact, he
think
even mentioned Deborah's case and said the only thing Deborah said, let me get the tweet, that what Deborah said
mm,
that led to her problem was she said, Yesu Shina Mafi Gima. I don't know what that means. That Jesus is the greatest, something like that. On a WhatsApp group with fellow college students, and they said it's blasphemy. That's what he posted. That's what he said. That is what Deborah Samuel said that led to her death. That should things like this be so much of a problem?
well,
This
this is
light environment.
also
Mm.
these are the prompts that we saw leading to the dissolution of Pakistan from India. But I believe it's a consequence of the leaders of different religions portioning their followers.
Ah,
That
we're
one
having a sound issue again. I don't know why.
will
We're
go
having a sound issue again.
and try to use the statement of other
So, Dr. Kat, we're having the sound issue again. Just to
side.
mitigate this, can I call you on WhatsApp? Just be on the video. I call you on WhatsApp. I take your sound from the WhatsApp while your video is here. Just to, because we can't keep going this back and forth since you have very limited time. I don't know. Maybe I just call you on WhatsApp and then we just leave your video there and take the WhatsApp call because the sound is still distorting and it's just really very, um, it's dragging our conversation, unfortunately. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why this is happening. Oh dear. All right. So yeah. So I was putting up exactly what my canal just said again about the Deborah situation very quickly. That's what he said. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, speak.
Can you hear me, sir?
Very clear.
All right. So let's have you wrap up. Go ahead with your statement on WhatsApp.
What we need to do is to react less to these people who jump on blasphemy. Ignore them so that you do not give oxygen to the fires they intend to set. And sometimes when you make this man, just ignore them. But still, the end of the day is their leaders. When you hear this youth say these things, there are some leaders who are beating drums for them. And that goes on to show you about the intolerance that some of the Muslim leaders are willing to display open the open, and that's not very good for nation building. It is sad that we're discussing this, but we have to talk about it because it has led to loss of life. It has led to a lot of Muslims who are alive in Christians, and that's not very good for our country.
All right,
I
sir.
think we need to de-emphasize this. Yes.
All right, sir. So earlier this week, Riley Moore said that he submitted his report on um, the genocide against Christian stuffs that he's been working on. And the report contains quite a couple of stuffs, and that has raised a lot of reaction. And people don't like most of the content of waiting day for inside that report. Part of waiting day for that report now to call on punishment on people who be say they propagate Christian genocide for Nigeria, their sponsors, and including to I'm sure you've seen that report, sir. So that I don't.
Yes.
Exactly. And then, of course, the prescription, calling out of some of these groups, including Mieti Allah and all that, and including to stop Sharia law for inside Nigeria. Now, that particular one don't raise a lot of concern because Supreme Islamic Council don't talk, say they no go ever agree for that one. How dare we say we want to end Sharia law in Nigeria? That won't work. And just today, one cleric also made a statement that has gone viral, where he did say, I don't know what he said, but let me quickly play that for the purpose of those who understand how is the language, and would get someone help us interpret, or perhaps you could help us interpret what he said. Nigerians.
America take kokarin sai an goge ta daga cikin constitution din Najeriya. To na farko yana da kyau mu sanar da arnan duniya da na Najeriya. Maganar shari'ar musulunci mun san ba ita ta dame ku ba. Abin da ya dame ku shine ku zagi annabi ba tare da an ce muku komai ba. Ku zagi annabi ba tare da an taba ku ba, koda ku a gaban musulmai kuka yi, ba wanda zai dau mataki akan ku. To muna ga yawa arnan duniya da bakaken arna waɗansu daga cikin arnan Najeriya tsinannu zindiƙai makiya Allah kafirai. Abinda muke sanar muku shine zakin annabi ba zai yi wa Najeriya ba. A fili karara mun rantsa muku tsarkin mulkin Allah ba zai yi ba, kuma akan wannan maganar da kuke magana ce ta takalar fada. Magana ce ta kuna nuna cewa lallai Najeriya ta ishe ku. Najeriya kun gaji da ganinta a matsayin dunkulalliyar ƙasa a matsayin Najeriya. Dan zaman lafiyar da ake takama da shi a Najeriya duk da dai babu shi, kuna nuna wa duniya ba ku buƙatar sa. Domin muna gaya muku, muna isar muku da sako na musamman akan goge wani tsari da wata shari'a da ta
understand Hausa language, but according to interpretation from people on social media, we hear that the Islamic Cleric cautioned that Nigerian Christians advocating for the removal of Sharia law alongside the United States may be inviting serious social and political problems that could divide the country. Now, Sharia law in Nigeria, religious legal system applied mainly in Muslim majority states, but including the capital city, Abuja. Now, it operates alongside the secular legal system, creating a dual legal framework. A lot of people said, oh, Sharia law was just only there to ensure that it handles civil matters, but we don't see them even enter into some criminal investigations and criminal matters and all of that. While Nigerians, the vex say, why we get Christians, atheists, traditionalists, and Muslims from Nigeria, why it be saying that only law will protect one particular religion and they captured for inside our constitution? The rest of the religion, then they no get sense to also put law way affect them. While the US argument is that how can you in a secular state have a law about a particular religion? That does not be the characteristics of the typical of a secular state. But the Muslims are saying that it is constitutional in Nigeria and it must stay, and that the United States does not have a right to tell us what to do. Dr. Katch, tell us the danger that this may pose if one, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's helpless and it's unable to stop Sharia law practice across the 12 states or more where we say the practice. Remember, I said they push medicine enter inside southwest. Two, if he's unable to do that, what will be the danger? What will America do? And then what? Yes, go ahead, sir.
These things are in sanctions that were forced onto the decrees written by the and Buhari. So the cascade of those three coups, Buhari, Babangida, Abacha, is where the Muslims were now urged by the Muslim leaders to write these decrees. We have asked severally for us to have a constitution written by us Nigerians. The Muslims have refused. Instead, they have insisted that the decrees written by Muslim soldiers should be acceptable to the Christians, and that's where we're now gotten to a point where those decrees are not working.
No, sir. Let me let you take that again, please. Are you saying that Nigerians had once rejected some of these laws and decrees that were implemented or foisted on Nigeria by
Nigerians have always rejected these laws, these decrees that were written by the soldiers. Nigerians were never, ever, ever allowed to write a constitution by we the people. These Sharia laws were written by soldiers. It wasn't written by a body of elected Nigerians, no. These were decrees that were forced upon us, and since we've been asking for a restructuring of those laws that govern the superstructure, which is the state, the Muslims have refused. And now we have gotten to a point where the international community are also coming to say these things have to go for Nigeria to have an equitable, successful experiment towards nationhood. Today, Nigeria is not a nation because of these things that these Muslims have done. Now they can see the practicality of what they have inserted in those papers. It's just impossible. These things are not sustainable. These laws were never Nigerian laws. They were never agreed to by Nigerians, never. These were military decrees. They were forced upon the Christian population by force of guns. And so, thank God now in a regular society that is civil, these things are just not going to work. So I think the right thing is the suggestion by the Americans that we do not allow it. We are here on several issues. These things were also smuggled in by the same Fulani leaders. So all these people making noise, they are not part of it. Those things are not law. They were never ever agreed to by any law in Nigeria, by anybody. They were just things Muslims do out of force, trying to dare the state that should the state not allow them to do as they wish, there will be mayhem. Now they have continued on what they wish, and we have trouble. And the world is saying, stop these practices for you to have a stable nation. And I think we all support it, despite the noise you hear from all those Sharia Council, Muslim youth bodies. They're insignificant. They don't matter nothing. If nationhood and the success of the Nigerian experiment is that there will be equality before the law between Christians and Muslims, then it should be. But those who do not want equality have to think about going to create their own country. I think that's where we are. They must seriously consider going to create their own country.
He has threatened that. So I mean, the Muslim cleric already threatened that this will call for the division of Nigeria.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a big. That's not an impossible wish. It can be granted. These things can be organized. We can divide it. There's nothing big in dividing Nigeria. If the Muslims do not want to live in Nigeria with equality, before the law for all Nigerians, then it doesn't make sense. And that's what they don't want. They have never accepted equality. They will never do. And if that's what we have to put as a criteria for making Nigeria successful, I don't think the Muslims will agree. They will never accept equality with Christians any day. They've never done it. And they wouldn't do it.
Because Christians, what were the things in that video that I did play earlier? What were the things exactly that the cleric was saying? Some people said he.
It's the same thing. The cleric is stating that they must be allowed to keep all the advantages that they got from the military rule. That's just basically what he's saying, and that they won't accept it. But of course, these are small toy soldiers. You hear it make noise. The real big sponsors of the crisis, sponsors of the jihad, all of them will be very quiet. They won't talk because they know there are consequences for them being noticed. Mm-hmm. And just as you saw Kwankwaso, when he was talking just as this we were talking, he was noticed. And he was written into that legislation. So all this is part of the problem. Let us agree now. If we were to continue the Nigerian experiment
as a nation,
it has to be based on the basis of equality before the law. All Nigerians must be seen to be equal before the law. You cannot make it that you captured the Christians and that the Christians were defeated, and so you have to seize the country as yours now. So what you've seen is the American intervention. It kind of levels everything for us. And that's why we're having this conversation.
All right, sir. So what is I was going to ask, what is the danger of repealing the Sharia law in Nigeria? Do you think it will be easy for President Tinubu? Yeah. Because if it's not easy for him, that means he would have flouted the recommendation by the US. What is he likely to get?
There's no danger in it. The Sharia law, that's no danger. The Muslims can live that way. These things are just protocols of control. The Sharia itself is an instrument of control. They used to control targeted groups in the north. It is used by the Fulani to control the houses. And that's what they've been doing. A Fulani man could drink alcohol, nobody will bring him to judgment. If the house has his caught breaking any of the rules, he'll be put in his place. And that's why these things are used to control targeted groups. So I think we should have a society as free as you will have in the United States, as free as you will have in Europe. We should not allow double standards or a different law for a different religion that is not agreed to in a secular state. I think it's dangerous, and we can say it's not possible. And the people making noise and insisting on Islam are people from the far north, not the middle belt of the country, not the south of the country. It's at the far north. So this they will not let you sit on the same table with them if you're not on the same page with them. If you continue to waste your energy on denial, nobody can accept you to be part of the solution.
All right, so there were key recommendations or key points on that U.S. Congress report by Moore. I take a look at about 7 key demands that they made, or about 11 key demands really that they made. One, they said, I think they said the Congress wants a bilateral agreement between the United States of America and Nigeria to protect vulnerable Christian communities. Their attention has always been vulnerable Christian communities from violent persecution, eliminate jihadist terror activity in the region, further economic cooperation and counter advisories in the region, including the Chinese Communist Party and Russian Federation. Such an agreement should include, they said, commitments by the government of Nigeria to co-fund donor-supported humanitarian assistance, including through faith-based organizations, and prioritize underserved communities of internally displaced persons. But these people we see, they are obviously not prioritized. That is IDPs. And then they also did mention about, especially the predominantly middle belt region, Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa, the rest of them, support and respond to early warning mechanisms to prevent attacks and kidnappings. The reason they said this is that most times before attacks will happen, the Nigerian government is informed, but they're unable to do anything until people will die in their numbers. Now, this includes deploying sufficient and capable security forces to the middle belt to enable rapid and effective response to hold those who ignore the warnings accountable. Now, it's obvious that we already see that the federal government is already taking steps in that direction. Remember, they sent a special troop to Plateau State from 2 weeks ago, thereabouts. That is already handled. But there's another one. Remove Fulani militias from confiscated productive farmland. And they never, did you hear? Confiscated. That means to say that all of those communities that have been taken over by other people, that they should remove them there. So
that is
I'm coming. So let me finish.
An important part.
I expect exactly, and that's why there's a problem. So let me finish reading that. It says, remove Fulani militias from confiscated productive farmland and enable the vulnerable return of displaced communities to their homes, including by ensuring security and infrastructure. Thereby, that is not by force, so government must develop those places. Thereby reducing the need for humanitarian aid and generating economic development through increased agricultural productivity. Sir, how our government could fulfill that number? That's one I read. So before we reach the next number, how possible it did will be so good to achieve?
You need to understand this issue has been the fundamental problem. The Fulani who were doing the ethnic cleansing were doing it because they wanted to take land of the indigenous people. So that the government was found that to have done nothing in reacting to the Fulani seizure of lands, as you've now recounted. So I think the government is agreeing with the governors and the indigenous people that the Fulanis who have taken over these lands must be stripped of the lands, removed from the lands, and the indigenous people brought back from IDP camps and returned back to their farmlands, to their central villages, and be put back on their lands.
But Dr. Kash, the president asked that the vice president goes back to reclaim some of the grazing lands so that they can settle. They plan to build a grazing community for these people. That's what the president had said, like a ranch, that they should settle them in ranches so that we will avoid this clash. According to him, that was the directive he gave to Shetima, sir.
Hear me, you're modeling it all up. The president, yes, you're modeling it all up.
Okay, sir.
It's the distinct issue. The returning of the IDPs to their homes has nothing to do with the intention of the government to create ranches. The creating ranches is creating open government land where the Fulani refugees who have left their countries and have come to Nigeria can stay. These refugees came to Nigeria because they have been driven away due to war in their countries, like in Central African Republic, like in Central Mali, and when President Buhari and other leaders in West Africa were not able to resolve and let these refugees stay in their areas in Central Mali, that's why you saw some of them, Buhari asked that they should come to Nigeria. And when they came, he started looking for land to resettle them. Now, you don't resettle refugees from other West African countries or Nigerian land by displacing Nigerians and putting them in IDP camps. That's where the Buhari and Tinubu administration got it wrong. Now that the international community represented by the US government has now stepped into the issue. I think it will be thoroughly done. It's just that the Nigerian government and the Nigerian Fulani leaders don't yet know that what they did can be undone. And I think it's very interesting that the world is paying attention to this particular tricky aspect of this U.S. engagement in our country. The Fulanis who have taken over their lands, I support and I commend the efforts to get them out of those lands. I also commend the efforts to return the indigenous people back to their lands. You know, this is the right thing to be done. You do not allow these people who have come to steal people's land and force the people into concentration camps, which you now keep them there as IDPs. That's wrong. The first job of government is to protect lives and property. So let the government go and protect those properties by restoring the landed property back to the regional owners who are currently headed into indigenous, camps for internally displaced persons. No, we can't be internally displaced in our country when there is no war. So what the Fulani have done is totally unacceptable, and I commend the Americans for listing them down in the halls of Congress as an offender and aggressor.
All right, sir. I had asked that question on the heel of the fact that reports come out recently which should say more people die for Nigeria for 2025 pass for Sharia and Yemen. Sorry, for Syria and Yemen joined together. More number of people die for Nigeria more than in Syria and Yemen. Now, my point is,
that is true.
Yes. So
that you see what you said now is because the world kept quiet, and this is where the crisis is. The Israelis were complaining that the Fulanis were doing worse things in Nigeria against indigenous Christians, and yet they were coming to New York to make noise about Israel's behavior in the occupied territories, even stating that them, the Fulani, think there should be two-state solution. So the Jewish lobby said, fine, what you want in the occupied territory, we think should also be done in Nigeria. And that's why you see them now thinking of partitioning of Nigeria, and you're hearing some leaders say they're meeting, they don't want that. That's the story. So if it is the inadmissibility of the demands to keep Sharia out and some of those divisive Islamic tendencies, keep them out if you want the Nigerian nation to continue. If not, I think we'll just enter the early stages of conversations that could lead to the partitioning of Nigeria.
So you think that there may be discussions around dividing Nigeria if these things don't work?
Well, if it doesn't work, in every marriage, if there are irreconcilable differences, you can then discuss the solution. The human beings involved in the marriage, and in this case, with the ethnicities of Nigeria, shouldn't die simply because the Fulani are insisting to have Nigeria on their own terms. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, sir. So there are other key areas. Now, what I was going to say that one of the other concerns that people have is this ranching. Sorry, the federal government is intending to get into. Not be the land of the indigenous people they won't give them for ranching. And which assurance to get, say, in the nearest future, clash will still be between the indigenous people and these people after creating the ranches. And then again, is a cattle business not a private business? Why is federal government invested in it to try to please them? Is it not a private business? Will you also provide land for cocoa farmers in Yoruba land to go and plant their farm? That means you collect land from people in Borno State or Yoruba people that farm cocoa. Please, I think the Borno State is very fertile. Come and plant your cocoa there. Can they do that too? So why is the federal government invested in the cattle rearing business? And that it's obviously causing a lot of friction, and it has led to the death of so many Nigerians. Why?
You are discussing the Tinubu administration and what it promised the Fulani leaders. for them to hand over power to him. This is what you're discussing. We have not talked about what will happen now that the Americans are involved. If Tinubu seeks to seize the land of indigenous people and want to appropriate it to the Fulani, calling it ranch, which will now ultimately become a future homeland for them. The people who own the land will not agree, especially now that the Americans are here. And I don't see what the government can do. So the people are now alarmed. Yes, now that the Americans are here, if Tinubu sticks to take land by force, you see, he has to learn why this has not worked since the Fulanis have been trying to do it. No community will allow the creation of a new Zango Kataf in its domain. No. You can see what Zango Kataf became. If you allow it, that your land are turned into Fulani ranches, no matter the kind of language, the flowery language the government uses to decorate it, that's what it is. Let those Fulani go back to their country. Nigerians don't have land to give to anybody to use for ranching. Since animal husbandry is by private business, government shouldn't be getting involved in it. And if government should get involved, it should be for businesses that are of public advantage. So taking land from indigenous people and then giving it to Fulanis, who will end up killing the indigenous people later on, because it has not worked. You want to know what the Fulani will do? Take a look at their history with the houses. It's the same thing. They will come, give me small land, give them, and then say they are fighting to take more land. They've done that in Plateau, they've done that in Gober, they've done that in Zango Kataf. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. That's the reason why the people across the country are not for sharing their lands with the Fulani. I think the Tinubu administration have to understand the reasons why this thing has not worked in 8 years of Buhari. If it did not work in 8 years of Buhari, I don't see how it will work with Tinubu. Is he going to give Yoruba people's land as experimental gifted game to the Fulani? Whose land will he give to the Fulani as ranch?
You know, before I continue with some of the other things within to put for that their law, now, one very important thing. And also, I don't know whether you hear recently when you be say AFP, African Press, AFP, come out, come talk, say, them say our governments pay ransom to terrorists, that is Boko Haram, to get the release of the Niger State, the Catholic Church children, where we say them pay almost 40 million naira per person. That the money was totaling about 2 billion or thereabouts, some $7 million thereabouts. The money plenty well. The Nigerian government don't deny them. In fact, they maintain, say, now actually Nuhu Ribadu, now negotiate on behalf of government. I have been waiting. I have not talked about this because I was waiting for you so that we'll have this conversation. Sir, what does this mean if it is true? The Nigerian government is denying it. But of course, AFP no go make mistake, go talk that kind of thing when it be said they no get their proof. So they insist on waiting they talk, say they right. That Nuhu Ribadu initiated the conversation of ransom payment with our money to terrorists. And these terrorists come talk, say they use the money, buy more arms. That's what they did. Is this war ever going to end? And this happened this period that we also have boots on ground already. That means it's not going to stop if it is true. But let me take your sweet reaction to that, sir.
You are funding the Fulani war machine the more you give them money. Don't forget that money is a clandestine organization that collects the rackets. Those of them in government, like Dino Ribadu and Co., will put pressure on the president to make sure he agrees that they pay. And then they pay. Since you see the Americans come, have you heard of those things again?
You think it will stop? Do you think it will stop happening?
No, it will stop. They know that the Americans have a tap on everything. They know that the Americans have intelligence on everyone. what you see them trying to defend are the things they thought nobody saw. But unknown to them, for over 10 years, the Americans are very, they know who is who. They know the people sponsoring terrorism. They know it. The Americans know that it is those people around Buhari that had been in charge of this terrorism across the country. So, now that the Americans are in the country, you see that a lot of nonsense was failed. All that kidnap and take money was just a kind of ethnic ATM. All of them understand it.
But sir, how can a whole security advisor be involved in that, sir? That's actually the danger.
Is he not a human being?
Eh.
Is he not a Fulani man?
Mm.
So what's wrong? What's wrong with that? If he's human, he's a Fulani, he can do it. A Nigerian, I do not know for that. So leave that issue. Nobody is a saint. You are only discussing it now because they've blown alarm against him. So
now what?
Let's see the story. It has just opened up. I've been following it. You know, the French.
But the government has denied it now. The government don't deny and saying a lie. That kind of thing won't happen.
If you're a government, what would you do? When the Americans caught them red-handed of aiding and being complicit in the killing, didn't they deny? Didn't they tell you there was no killings? The government insists. The government will always delve into its historical behavior of denials. There's nothing new in government denying things. Government will always deny everything.
All right, sir. So going back to some other recommendations very quickly, running through the recommendation number 2 of the Americans. He said, 2, implement security measures. 1 is to implement the National Security Department of State and Related Programs Appropriations Act of 2026 to support the preceding recommendations and the following priorities. 1, increase accountability by requiring proof of progress before obligating additional funds. That means Nigerian government must prove their progress before they will give more funds. Now, programs to address religious freedom, atrocity response, legal reforms, expand and improve policing, strengthen the criminal justice sector, improve anti-money laundering methods, and enhance capabilities to disrupt terrorist financing networks, as well as major illicit monies from Fulani militia members. That's what they put them all. Not be me right now. 3,
they know what's going on.
Okay. So next they wrote Treasury Department programs and activities to strengthen the integrity of Nigeria's financial system, which will safeguard U.S. National security and enhance the favorable balance of trade and the United States. As again, U.S. Development Finance Corporation investment in Nigeria, especially in the Middle Belt. GAO audit reports on the effectiveness of aid to Nigeria recommendations for strength and oversight. Invoke and publicly announce the CPC presidential directives to name and shame perpetrators of violence. Can we do that? Name and shame. Then implement sanctions on groups and individuals who participate in or tolerate violence against Christians. Sir, when they participate or when they tolerate violence against Christians, how many people they won't catch like this? So, but make I finish. Okay, well, let me let you respond to this.
It is doable.
How is it doable?
It is doable. It is doable. You see, before these things were not doable. What I will advise is that we've only now started cataloging the protocols of engagement. The Americans will continue to change. They will continue to make alterations. Don't forget, at the beginning, when Wilibad and Co. went to the US, they drew up these papers. After the Americans had started indicating throwing the bombs in Sokoto, they started altering the papers, correcting the papers. So they will continue to add more things, correct the terms of the agreement. It's just as we go on, the most important thing for us to understand is that the United States is here. Some of us Nigerians still don't understand it. We think it's a joke.
But their coming here has not helped, has not reduced their tax now. In fact, Ondo State now don't they face some fire for fire. A king in Ondo State was killed in his palace. it don't get worse.
What you're seeing is how bad things were that forced the Americans to come in. Before, we were not allowed to report on these things. The government specifically clamped down on reporting on this thing. Don't forget it. TV stations, broadcast stations were sanctioned if they reported verbatim what was going on. So
Yes.
I myself, I have scars from this issue. So, and you need to understand that even the recent one, when the case broke about the American intention to come to Nigeria, the Nigerian government went into a denial overdrive. So that's why I tell you, don't worry yourself when you hear denials or when you hear the Nigerian government speak as they are known to always speak. This is just the beginning of a long game of engagement. The United States engaging with Nigerians to help Nigerians build a better society. I don't think that's what it is we're doing. So the idea of the reactive noise you hear from those accused, like the Fulani, these things are nothing. Those are expected. We cannot go on without them denying. Let them deny, but the Americans, as a third party, are working on intelligence. The intelligence cannot be controverted. We stand by those intelligence. We agree with the Americans. It's not an issue of patriotism to lie to save somebody who wants to kill you. Then when you lie, and those who could have saved you now move away thinking you're being honest,
All right,
that
sir.
same person will still come and kill you.
All right, sir. So they
whether
also
you
did.
like it or not,
But they also did
I'm
mention in their
listening to you.
reports that Nigeria should stop that the illegal mining by Chinese, that they fund the Fulanese and fund them for protection to mine. They mentioned that in the reports. So people are now saying that is it not
Nigeria
obvious
will-
what the interest of the United States is? That they really don't care about us. They care more. See it here. Counteract the hostile foreign exploitation of Chinese illegal mining operations and their destabilizing practice of paying protection money to Fulani militias. That's what they stated. So people are saying, is it not obvious what
That
the
is the
interest of the
truth.
United States is?
What is obvious to what they said is true. You're the one trying to draw conjectures and build stories that are not there. The US are right. The Chinese payment of money, protection money to Fulani militia, provides the militias with funding for their activities. And that's just simple. So if that is mentioned in a report or condemned in a publication, I don't know why we should fall off the ladder for that. It's a fact. So stop making up things or building conjectures.
All right, sir.
Ours is how do we stop the violence? How do we then help to build something with the government? Right now, we need to rebuild the Nigerian security apparatus, if you understand. And that's what these Islamist fund financiers and patrons have done. They gradually destroyed the whole of Nigeria's defense architecture.
All right, sir. So let me quickly run
just to make
Mm.
the jihad successful.
All right, let me quickly run through the remaining 6 or 7 recommendations. So the fifth one is continue visa restrictions for perpetrators involved in Christian violence and violations of religious freedom. 6th is demand the repeal of Sharia codes and criminal anti-blasphemy laws. This one, I they cause trouble now. Supreme Islamic Council, most of them don't condemn and say they don't agree.
It didn't cause trouble. We shouldn't have two constitutions for one country. All of us should live under one law, and that's what it should be.
Another one we go cause wahala. Now problem. Now say review and use points of leverage as government, I guess, to compel Fulani headsmen to disarm, including by blocking export of beef and other cattle-related products to countries like Ivory Coast, Ghana, South Africa, Senegal. So make them block anything we get to do with Malu activities, Malu rearing, their food products, whether dairy products and all that, from being exported to other, sub-Saharan African countries. So make them do them so that they go no say it don't done. Then, first of all, do you think that is doable by Nigerian government to block that, blocking export and beef and other counter-related products, and including the visa ban too? Do you think is feasible, sir?
Everything, everything is possible and feasible if there is political will to do that. Because if there are no consequences for people who do bad, they will continue doing those bad things. But if there are consequences that they suffer when they do it, maybe they will be forced by those consequences to think twice before continue on those very, very bad actions.
Okay, so let me quickly run through the rest of them. It says, okay, ensure adequate staffing of diplomatic posts in Nigeria, maybe in our borders, around our borders, so that, improve the foreign military sales process to expedite the procurement of delivery of defense articles and services necessary to support shared security priorities, require a national intelligence estimate, NIA, on Nigeria's sectarian and communal violence, and review classifying Fulani militia groups with links to terror groups. Review classifying Fulani militia groups with links to terror groups, as well as other groups conducting organized campaigns of violence that threaten the United States as a foreign terrorist organization. Did you hear that, sir? And then enlist the support of international partners, including France, Hungary, and the United Kingdom. Now, most of these people will come handy in confiscating the properties of most of the people will be fingered by this. Make I let you jumping on that very quickly since your time is almost there exhausted, sir.
We should have such an international understanding, and that's the good thing about working hand in hand with other interested parties who really intend to wipe away this Fulani violence. You track those people who are known to be sponsors and financiers and patrons of this violence, deal with them so that others will know that there are consequences for being involved in such murderous activities. I do support that there should be, cooperation amongst international countries, international bodies, and we should all liaise together to be able to put a stop to these heinous, murderous killings that have occurred and damaged the Sahel this badly.
All right, so moving on concerning the 2027 election, for all people care, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu don't win the election, finish, because he not get any strong opposition, citing what happened in your FCTA election as an example. First of all, let me pick your mind on that. How you see the FCT election?
It's a problem for the country. If we had, 7%, of the voting up, it is serious case of vote apathy. It's not good for democracy. It's not good for the country.
And then in the conduct of that 7%, where 7% come out, how did you see INEC's performance in conducting the election? Do you think it was free and fair? The opposition thinks it was rigged. They think it was rigged. Do you believe it was?
If it was free and fair, you wouldn't have such low turnouts. There are things that have been done to have dissuaded the citizens, and that's why they had no enthusiasm for the election. So that's what I would say. We have to, as a country, go back and quickly rebuild confidence in our people about democracy. What happened on Saturday during the Abuja, elections was very sad and a bad day for our democracy. So it's a country issue, and we know what to do if we seek to repair democracy.
Do you think the opposition? Do you think the opposition did well? Like the opposition, do you think they need more? Would they have more work to do ahead of 2027 election?
I think the problem of the opposition in that was there is no enthusiasm among the voters for the opposition even. I think the opposition got damaged around the issues of refusal to zone. If they had zoned, I'm sure those in Abuja would have been encouraged to be enthusiastic about the opposition party. But they did not. So the people didn't come out to vote.
So you feel say the people not support the opposition too much because then they confused based on the fact that they never know who their presidential candidate is, so they don't want to support them yet.
It is the presidential candidate that drives these things. Once they are not sure, people will not put their eggs in the basket of ADC. Because the ADC looks like a trick. It looks like a trick. If the ADC had agreed to zone, you would have seen enthusiastic people come out to also vote. So I think the ADC is shooting itself on the foot. It is not yet organized. This chairman never talks. Why? Because being a former soldier, he can never criticize his commander-in-chief, who is President Tinubu. So
David Mark.
Mark will perpetually keep quiet because he would not talk anything to offend his commander-in-chief. So I think that's where they also made a mistake. They should have understood you don't need a general, you don't need a former soldier. They will never talk. They will never criticize the commander-in-chief, which is Tinubu. So that's a minus for them. But these are the things that we learn when we now build those public institutions like this. We don't have the experience. We're not getting them. I hope our people will learn from what we've learned so that Nigeria will be better next time.
Now, with the look of things, do you think there's any possibility of winning Tinubu in 2027 based on this whole INEC, this new electoral act?
I want you to understand that I think and I believe the Americans will shape the course of the next elections.
You feel say foreign interference good for our next election?
That's what you called it. The foreigners are ruling Nigeria.
What
came over Nigeria? The Nigerian army couldn't defend Nigeria. That's why they brought their own army. So we're already having a stronger army now in charge of Nigeria. Bear that in mind. Don't behave like you are alone. You're not alone.
So the opposition, the opposition hold a meeting today condemning the Electoral Act and demanding a revisit of the Electoral Act. And Olisa Gbakobo even talk, say, make National Assembly revisit the Electoral Act and make transmission of results, e-transmission of results compulsory. See, unless it will cause a lot of chaos. Their rejection of the Electoral Act and all that, do you think it will make any difference? And do you think the National Assembly is likely to answer? Considering the abracadabra method they use, even put them an alarm to go on like that, and the swift consent from presidents.
We are now in the issue of nation building. The National Assembly have been trying to set the electoral barometer, and they're not getting it well. That's why people are rejecting what they have done. Only them have to think. Our own opposition also need to know how to agitate. You don't agitate, you leave it. That they've done it, and you try to come back, be on what you want, and don't give up. So I think it's a good thing. I commend them for commenting on what they do not like, but they have to devise better strategy in fighting for these things to be had, so that implementations of new protocols that will help the country's democracy will be reached. Right now, we've not moved anywhere. Where we are could bring deaths. You just see people fighting, hearing of fight in different areas between the people and the returning officer. If they tell you there is a returning officer, you can see that there is a network. He will be forced to use the electronic transmission. If he doesn't, they could kill him. And this crisis will repeat itself in boot after boot after boot after boot. Remove that thing, make it automatic transmission. Yes, the ECHA can be done as a backup. It shouldn't be part of. No. The primary mode of sending the results to the collection center should be through the BVAS architecture and real-time automatic transmission. When you feed it there, that's all right. You comply with the law. If he goes, yes. If he doesn't go, whenever it is touched, the information will always be sought and gotten from it.
Immediately.
Let the content of the BVAS be what is acceptable as tribunals, not ECHA. So feed that content, feed the content into the BVAS machine, then you can write a secondary ECHA. But so that anytime there are arguments, you can always, from inside that originally sent message, tap from it. Because after the BVAS equipment sends, it still has in its memory what business it communicated to the various parties that interacted with it.
All right. So Peter Obi was almost assassinated, or faced an assassination attempt. What's your reaction to that? Because go good man let you come here. We could not talk about that very quickly.
Well, the governor said it before that he cannot guarantee P2B's life anytime P2B comes to Edo State. So I think the governor's word has been kept. And that's as much I can say.
Okay. Do you think that if ADC, if P2B gets the presidential ticket for ADC, do you think he can win Bola Ahmed Tinubu as it is today? Because some people feel saying popularity don't wind down and all that. Do you think he still has what it takes?
I don't know. It would be wrong to start asking me to ask a conjectural, question. What it is the parties should send their candidates. I told you that the aspirants who have now become candidates go to the field. Allow the people to. How can you be asking, do you feel, do you do? People have said, anybody can say anything. Let the contestants go to the field.
I simply want to know your faith. I know your faith in your candidate. I do know that P2B is your candidate, and I just want to know if you're still certain that he has what it takes to win the presidential, to get.
That is why I'm telling you that P2B, let all the candidates appeal to the crowd, to the voters, and that's all. There's no need to be going about on all this. We'll answer 10 times, same thing. Let candidates make themselves available, so that the field would decide. I think that's the best thing for anybody to talk of.
All right, sir. So moving forward, as this whole Christian genocide thing they happen, US don't give recommendation. They don't even set up for inside their Congress, sit down, talk our matter well. What thing will go for use pay US back? Now free they do for us. Is this for free? What will Nigeria likely pay US?
That's not your business to talk.
I'm a Nigerian. It should be my business, sir.
They did not ask you to hire their services. They came there on different grounds. Humanitarian grounds, one. And then we are telling you that they were also asked by the Jewish lobby to take interest in Nigeria. That they see a lot of Nigerian politicians come to New York to campaign against Israel. Why don't you go and see if they are not committing wars atrocities than Israel? And that's so they are here. They have a lot of things to do. Don't forget, Israel is a military base that was established by the Allies after the defeat of the Ottomans. And so whatever it gives us intelligence about a future threat is taken very seriously by the United States. It now says that the Nigerian Muslim leaders are a future threat. And so it is being taken seriously by the United States. And I do seem to agree with them. And that's the reason why the US is here. So let's look at it.
All right.
But as they're here, they will do the work. They will clean up that mess being caused by the Fulani. As you can see, the Nigerian president didn't have the capacity to even react what the Fulani were doing. The US is here, and that's why we think the Fulani war, probably will not have a proper attention given to it. The Fulani war across the Sahel now has attention of the United States. So for me, that's a good one.
All right.
That's a very good one.
All right, Dr. Katz, thank you so much. I know your time is already fast spent. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hoping and looking forward to seeing you on Thursday, and perhaps we'll start much earlier so that we can dig deeper into some of these issues as they seem unending anyway. Thank you so much, sir. Always appreciate your time.
I thank you for having me. I thank your audience for also having the patience to stick it out. And as we have this conversation, but of course, as I said earlier, they should not despair. The US is here. The US is here for good. We have had voices. There's nothing about it. It's a regular societal chatter. But then they should not lose sight. The US are here because the Fulani militias have been killing people all over Nigeria.
All right, sir. Thank you.
And that's what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good night and God bless you. Thank you, sir. All right, Nigerians, that is not the end of the show. We'll be right back in the next 30 minutes. We should be going back on air again by 11 p.m. on the dot to discuss other issues, because plenty things they were I want to talk to you about. I told you that the ADC did hold a meeting today where they have rejected the Electoral Act and what are they going to do next about it. By the way, INEC has also announced new dates for the general elections, of course, because of the amendments will concern the fact that it didn't enter Ramadan and other very interesting things. So I get evidence, footage and video evidence. Oh, did I tell you the drama that played out between Oga Omahi and the woman who says he owes her, and how she's bent that look, he cannot intimidate me? Well, all of these issues and more we'll talk about, and then I open the phone lines then. But let's quickly take 30 minutes break and we'll be right back for another live where we'll break down all of these conversations. I love you guys and I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share,